Okay, I'm pretty sure you will agree with me on this. GNOME is difficult to theme. Well, not difficult, but inconvenient. And that is partly because there is no online theme store available on GNOME. No, I'm not talking about gnomelook.org because you have to go there, download the zip file, and then you have to apply the theme yourself. I'm talking about those that are present in KDE. So you can directly search for a theme, download and apply it directly on your system. Now, if you are a KDE fan, then obviously you would put the argument that why not just switch to KDE. Now, what you cannot argue is GNOME's minimalism and consistency, which lacks very much in KDE. KDE is like a box of all the tools that you need, but they are all jumbled up together in one place. But anyway, this theme store advantage is very exclusive to KDE, but that was until today. Because with the release of version 1.5 Evolve, now GNOME users can directly download and apply GTK themes and icon packs from the internet. And it also respects the installation guideline of the theme creator. So it installs in the official way by running the install.sh script. Not just applying the theme, but it gives you all the choices that the theme creator would like to give you. And like I mentioned, it is not just themes that you can download from the internet and apply it directly within the app. You can also install GTK icon packs and also get access to a variety of online wallpapers. Evolve version 1.4 was an epic update and it was released almost a month ago. But trust me, the 1.5 release is even more interesting, because these features are just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, let's start with the earliest feature that was added to the 1.5 release of Evolve. That is config. Now, this feature was added entirely in the version 1.4, but there are some updates. And I actually had some predefined config files available in my Patreon, and I saw the size of those files really got huge, and I just knew I had to do some optimizations. So now let's select a location. Now, since the update location is not selected, it's showing null. Now, some of y'all faced problems previously. This file manager did not open up, I mean the file picker. In such a case, what you can do is, well, install Zenity for your system. Now, this problem will be fixed in the later release when it is going to try and fetch files using the default file picker. If Zenity is not available, then it will use Evolve's own file picker. Now let's head over to home directory and let's create a new folder over here and name it as a backup folder. And we are going to select this as our default location. So okay, selected, and as you can see, all the options enable themselves. Now, the first new option available is only backup enabled extensions. So if you don't want to backup all the extensions that you have installed, you have to select that option. Now, since I'm on Ubuntu, as you can see, Ubuntu dock is there and other Ubuntu specific extensions are also available over here. So if you backup everything, it may not work on a different distro. So it's best to disable them and then try to run the backup. So I'm just going to backup only enabled extensions. Okay, let's do a side-by-side comparison of the 1.4 release and the 1.5 release config file creation speed. So let's run the backup. So it took a bit more than 4 seconds. Now if we compare the file size, now the first one inside backup folder created by the latest release of Evolve version 1.5 uses 92.6 MBs, whereas if we switch over to B2, which consists of the backup created by the previous release of Evolve, it has 511.4 MBs of data. So there's a huge performance difference between Evolve version 1.4 and 1.5. Okay, next let us talk about the other features added in this release inside the config tab. So in the previous release already we had this option for auto run backup, but this time it's a lot faster because it uses a different algorithm. If I turn it on and close it, reopen Evolve, you will notice it automatically sends in system notification that the background update is going on. After it is done, it will again send in another notification that the config is updated successfully. It only takes a few seconds, so it won't be an issue. Also, if you notice carefully, it affects zero app performance. So while it's doing all the compression technique, you will notice the app remains very responsive. And the update process is actually visible inside the configs tab. So if I open Evolve, head over to config, you will notice that the update process is visible over there. You can also turn on background update, which will run the update in the background. So while it runs, you can actually switch to a different tab and continue with the work while it runs the update in the background. After the backup is complete, it will provide you a small snack bar notification that the update just completed. And finally, we have the option for smaller configs, which is actually better for sharing. It will increase the time for config creation a little bit. So if we check the current config, so the size is 92.6 MBs. You can turn on the smaller configs and try running the backup. There might be some change in the size of the config, so it will be compressed more. The change is a noticeable change. So as you can see, it reduces to 68 MBs. So if I keep a copy of this and run the backup again after turning off smaller configs, so here's the difference. Previously it's using 92 MBs, 92.6 MBs, and if you turn it on after that, the config size reduces to 68.5 MBs. So it's a considerable amount of compression that goes on. A bit of toll is taken on the performance, so I actually give you the option to turn it on or off. So if you prefer performance more, it's better to keep it off. If you want the files to use a lesser amount of space, just go for it and turn it back on. The performance impact is actually minimal, so I don't really think it would be a big issue. Okay, let's head over to the next tab, that is icons. Now currently I'm using the Gruvbox icons because the adaptive theming is turned on. It's actually not using the Gruvbox color scheme, it's using a different one. So I can just toggle it off or toggle it back on. And did you notice how fast it is? So previously, if you remember, adaptive theming would take a lot of time. So this is the version 1.4 of Evolve. I can just run it from here directly, and let us see how much time this version of Evolve takes in adaptive theming. I'll just toggle it off. Let's turn it on from the 1.4 release of Evolve. If we compare the amount of time taken side by side, this is the difference. So there's a small improvement in adaptive theming on Evolve. Okay, since we are already talking about adaptive theming, let us open the adaptive theming page of the two different releases of Evolve. That is the version 1.4 on the left side and the 1.5 on the right side. This is the amount of time it takes to open in the version 1.5. If you click on the version 1.4, it takes a considerable amount of time to generate the palette colors. While there are more colors available, which I can definitely understand, but if you apply the colors, you will notice that it doesn't really make much of a difference. And also the saturation and the brightness part, while they work inside the app, they actually do not apply to the theme because it just depends on the hue of the theme and not on the saturation, brightness or any other variables. And you can actually move around this sample window. So if I want, I can just place it over here. Okay, let's go back to the saturation and brightness part. The option is actually added back and you now get another option with the saturation and the brightness. That is the hue. Head over to Edit HSV, you will get the option for changing the hue. So if you think a greenish tint would look better with the current background, you can actually set the app color to use a greenish tint. Now you will get this live view of how the final theme would look like. But however, it's not very accurate for subtle, medium and strong. It is quite accurate for the default value, which is tint. Now you might have already noticed that when I'm changing the slider of the saturation value, it is actually not smooth. Now this is not a glitch or anything. It actually applies the saturation value with the help of a factor, and the app actually determines the factor which would not cause the different saturation values to become the same. So two different colors have their own unique saturation values if they already had a different saturation value. So that is maintained over here. Therefore, after a point, you cannot move it to the extreme side. Even if you try too hard, you will notice the saturation actually does not increase up to that extent. The same goes for the value levels. You can actually change the value levels, and as you can notice, it's not a smooth slider. The hue is however smooth because it does not have such problems, so you can set a different hue according to your requirement. Next is paths. You can actually add custom files over here for changing the theme. So for example, if you're using a Rofi, or might be you're using a con key which is applied to the desktop. So for example, I have one con key right over here. This is the conkey.conf. I'll just copy the file and paste it over here. That's it. Let's also add the bottom part and paste. Done. Now as you can see, this list will be maintained accordingly, and you can add your own config files, maybe RASI files or anything else, to change the colors of that file automatically whenever you apply adaptive theming, so that everything looks very consistent. Okay, you might already have noticed that I have this really nice collection of wallpapers, and let me show you how you can get your own wallpaper from the internet. Notice this new icon available? That is online wallpaper. It actually packs in a lot. It has the entire photo library of pixels. You can literally search for anything. So for example, I may search for beach, and as you can see, it shows the results in an instant. So they're all available over here. Or if you like the mountains, maybe mountains. That is how fast it is. So let's head over to page 2. And if you like any picture, you can just click on it. But even before that, what you can actually do is get some brief information related to the picture. So you can just put your mouse on the pictures and see there are some information already available. That is the name of the account who posted the picture on Pexels, and the alt text, which gives a brief description about the image and obviously the size of the image. Now this is very important because it gives credits to the photographer who gave their time and effort and posted it on Pexels to provide everything for free. So if you want to apply an image, just click on it and you will see the image available over here along with the name of the photographer and the alt text. Now you can just apply wallpaper and it will directly download and apply the wallpaper on your device. If you don't want that, you can go for a different wallpaper, apply, and done. So let's head over to page 3 and look for some more pictures. This also looks fine. I can just apply wallpaper, it will download and apply it to my desktop. Now you might argue, why have it inside an app when it is already accessible from the browser? So you can open Pexels, search for mountains. There are actually 3 main advantages of having it inside Evolve. 1, you directly get everything inside an app, even the online wallpaper store. 2, you don't have to think where the photo is stored. And 3, you don't have to remember and open the location and then apply everything from there. So if I store it in downloads, I have to again head over to downloads, search for that wallpaper and apply it from there. Instead of that, Evolve maintains everything inside an album, and this is your online wallpaper album. As you can see, all the downloaded wallpapers are available over here. So if you want, you can directly switch to a different wallpaper and apply it. Okay, let's again go back and turn on adaptive theming. Well, there's a small problem with this. The icons actually don't look good. They are kind of yellowish because it's the default Grovebox icon pack, which is meant to go with the default Grovebox themes. Now, with Evolve version 1.5, you can actually get online icons. This is the button to look for. Just click on it, and if you have already watched the launch video of Evolve version 1.4, the UI is straight up taken from the extensions page. Now, I really love the wallpapers user interface, so I'm actually planning in the future to change the search online icons option and themes along with extensions to match with the wallpaper store. Okay, let's search for icons. I think Cora would look really good, and I have also previously used Cora. So there was a time I actually applied Cora for literally almost every theme. So that is there. Okay, here we have the Cora icon pack, as you can see. And I can actually scroll here to see the images, which give a brief information or an idea of how this icon pack might look like. Just hit install and done. As you can see, the installer has popped up. You can click on install and all the icon packs selected over here would be installed. Now if you don't like any one of them, you can deselect. So just click on it, it will be deselected. Okay, since the installation is done, let's get back from here and close and reopen Evolve in order to see the installed icons. There we have Cora, Cora Lite, and Light panel along with this one. Anyway, let's go for original Cora icons. Now this looks much nicer with the current theme, especially because everything is so much blue. So the Files app looks much nicer than the original Grovebox theme. Now this is just one icon pack. You can literally get access to any GitHub icon pack because this thing depends on GitHub. So let's search for something else, more popular icon pack. So let's hit install. As you can see, the official Papyrus installer page opens and it has started installing the icon pack. Now don't have this idea that this script is owned by me. It is not owned by me. It is directly downloaded from GitHub and it is directly installing it from there. So make sure to you know what you're doing. Every information is available over here, who has posted it, number of issues, a number of people watching, and even the license under which it is posted on GitHub. You also get this brief little description, so make sure to check everything before you try and install it on your system. Because again, these scripts are not owned by me. You have to use your own discretion to install them. Okay, let's go for it. Now before we exit from here, I want to show you how beautiful the blur looks in the background. So it's actually changed and it gives better visibility of the text inside the dialog boxes, menus and more. And it looks so much better with this new blur algorithm that's going in the background. And it's much smoother, faster, and definitely more beautiful. Okay, let's get back. The same is available for themes. So if you head over to themes, maybe search for Everforest, my favorite GTK theme. As you can see, it's directly available inside here. The same goes for other themes, for example, Mac. So here we get this macOS theme for GNOME and GTK based desktop. So all of them are available. Now if installation fails, maybe I want to install this theme, but it's not installing, you can just click over here. And as you can see, the Git link is available. You can manually copy it from here, or you can clone repository. Or you can open the repository in a browser. So as you can see, it directly opens the GitHub repository over here. Okay, you might have already noticed how fast the information is fetched. So if I search for beach, it is instant. Now how does this happen? Every result is actually cached. So it reduces loads on the server and it shows the results much faster. Okay, let's search for red. Or blue. Blue would be great. If I head over to next page, you will also see the same loading over there because it takes time to fetch all the images. But if I again head back to the previous pages, you will notice they are actually instant. The same goes for a different search. For example, if you search for green, it would take some time, but if you again go back to blue, it is instant and it shows everything instantly. Now, you can actually delete and view the cached data inside settings. So as you can see, the current caching is 3.86 MBs. So I can just click over here and it will delete all the cache. So if we go back to theme and online wallpaper, let's search for mountains. As you can see, it is actually searching for the mountains and showing all the data. Same goes for the previously searched items like beach. If you head back to settings, you will again notice that it already has some cache because it fetched the data from the internet. The last and of course the least is the right click option now is available inside GNOME extensions, and this is how it looks. You can just right click and delete the extension from here. Previously it was only possible by opening the extension inside Evolve, which required internet connection. So if you didn't have internet connection, you couldn't uninstall an extension, which is weird. So right click and delete is now available. So even if you don't have internet connection, you can actually come over here and uninstall extensions. Okay, so that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Do like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.